Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl in Fort Worth, Texas, between James Madison and Air Force. James Madison, 1.5-point favorite here. Over under 41.5. A lot of news here. Go ahead.
I put this game down twice. I started writing the script, handicapping. I must have put it down twice. I'll let you go because these defensive parts for James Madison, I'm just driving crazy.
Yeah, well, first, their head coach, Kurt Cignetti, he won't coach. He took the head coaching job at Indiana. Offensive coordinator, Mike Shanahan. Defense coordinator, Bryant Haynes. And quarterbacks coach, Tino Sinceri, are also leaving with Cignetti to Indiana. Offensive line coach, Roblowski, he'll serve as the acting head coach for their James Madison's first ever bowl game. So with only 4 coaches not leaving for Indiana, they hired 5 temporary coaches to get through the bowl game. I imagine that they're motivated. This is their first ever bowl game. They weren't even supposed to get to one. And Air Force also is a service academy. They're going to be motivated. They're always motivated. It's one of the reasons why service academies historically, the history of bowls, 70% against the spread. You can do much worse things with your money than backing a service academy. But the James Madison transfer portal, starting quarterback Jordan McLeod, starting linebacker Jalen Walker, starting linebacker Aiden Fisher, starting defensive lineman Mikhail Kamara, starting defensive lineman James Carpenter, starting cornerback Chauncey Logan, one of their depth linebackers Taurus Jones. On the other side of the ball, starting running back Lawton, starting left tackle Tyler Stevens, starting wide receiver Elijah Surratt. And then, you have their defensive end is going to play in the NFL, Jalen Green. He's hurt. Their other starting left tackle, Tyshawn Wyatt, he was lost for the season, which caused the offensive in week 9, caused the offensive line to reshuffle. They then moved Stevens out the left tackle. He's in the portal. But you're talking about, in this James Madison defense, one of the best run defenses in the country. But you're talking about, 3 linebackers, 3 of their best defensive linemen, their starting corner, all in the portal. Now, reports are saying that they might play still in this game. And like McLeod is still going to play. I don't know. That could change. And who knows who's actually going to play. With Air Force, their starting running back, John Lee Eldridge, hit the portal. Defensive end, Caden Bloom also. We don't know who's going to be quarterback for them. And you can never trust what Troy Calhoun says. But is Zach Larrier going to be back? He said he might. And that would be important. If he's healthy, the offense really falls off a cliff without him. They're starting cornerback Jerome Galliard. He missed the final 4 games with an injury. They're starting spur linebacker, hasn't played since week 7. Wide receivers Dane Kinnaman and Jared Roseness, they could also be back for the bowl. So, yeah, this is a really tough handicap. Who's going to play for JMU? Because if JMU is at full strength and then Air Force didn't have Larrier, I know JMU would match the motivation of Air Force. Also, if everyone plays, that signifies that they do care. And they can shut down this Air Force rush attack. But if they're missing all these pieces, like going back to Duke's defense, they have some NFL guys up front. But this is Duke still. The depth is just not there. So, and you're dropping off to freshmen, sophomores. This isn't like Georgia or Alabama. Same thing with James Madison. Like the depth, it's a pretty big drop-off if you're going to be down all of these guys. So I don't know who's going to be the quarterback for Air Force. I don't know who's playing for James Madison. I assume both teams are going to be motivated, but then all of a sudden, if James Madison has everyone sit out, and their coach isn't there, and they're down to temporary coaches, that could be a sign that maybe they don't really care. So at an underdog with the service academy right now, if I had to bet it, I'm going to wait till closer to kick. I would just take Air Force and the points. But this is an impossible game to handicap.
Yeah, for me, I started deep diving into this and really came into like a process flow decision tree. Now, whether James Madison has some of their star defensive players or not, I would expect the players that are on the field are going to put in a max effort because they're interim for this coach, Damian Roblowski. He's going to be on the staff. Head coach Bob Chesley is going to retain him and keep him on. So you would think the players playing for him, or if you want playing time next year, you should probably show up here. But
and it's their first ever bowl. Their first ever bowl.
And Air Force was just in this bowl last year. I mean, they smacked Baylor around last year in a game. A lot of people like Baylor because of what they had on the defensive line. And so, Air Force is going to show up here. I believe I read it right. Service academies have won 4 in a row in the Armed Forces Bowl. So it's something that, they take extremely serious. And Troy Calhoun's 8-5 against the spread in bowls. And Air Force themselves has won 4 straight. And I think the decision tree that I talked about, how you're going to make a bet here. If the defense of James Madison is missing the key players on the interior, linebacker Taurus Jones, edge Mikhail Kamara, defensive interior James Carpenter, and defensive end Jalen Green, injury could be NFL, then this is an Air Force bet. Now, if those key players are on the rush defense for JMU and they're playing, to me, this is an under all the way.
Yeah, agreed.
That's it. That's the decision tree. Mark those names on defense, and then when you find out if they're playing or not, that's your bet.
Yeah. This is gonna be a game you got to wait till closer to tip. But yeah, if everyone was in on James Madison, then they could slow down, and especially if Larry didn't play, this would be under all the way, clock speeding throughout.